99.3 Nigeria Info, and we told you that we're talking about fish this morning. Yes,
right.
I'm sure we've talked enough about this all morning for you to anticipate why we're talking about fish.
You literally just think that someone will come here and serve us fish and have fish while we have
No,
the
we're
discussion.
not eating fish.
Because we've been talking about fish all morning from the beginning of this program. It's been fish.
Well, here we are.
Mhm.
Nigeria imported lots of fish. So we'll be looking at this sector on the show today. Remember that we're live on Facebook and YouTube at Nigeria Info FM. You can watch us there and also leave us your comment on Twitter with the hashtag Crossfire. Our WhatsApp number is very, very active. You can leave us your comments also 08095975805, 08095975805. Today we're looking at lack of facilities, slowing growth of fish business. It's a story done by Sharon Ejaso, a journalist with TVC, and she's done this story on the Female Reporters Leadership Program, a fellowship of the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism. Sharon, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Good to see you too. Yes, so we're both fellows. I like to brag about this every Friday. So that's why we do all those, excited greetings. Good to have you here, Sharon. We also have in the studio Mrs. Olutokunbo Ibirunke, who is Emakwe, who is the Director of Fisheries, Ministry of Agriculture. Good morning, ma'am. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Welcome. We also have Mr. Emmanuel Audu, who's a Deputy Director of Fisheries from the Ministry of Agriculture. Welcome, sir. Good to have you also on the show. All right, so let us kickstart. Remember that you can leave us your comments on WhatsApp 08095975805, on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM, on Facebook, on YouTube. You can watch us live and see all our beautiful faces. It's Nigeria Info FM right there.
That's right. So research findings indicates that agriculture once served as the economic mainstay of the country before the discovery of oil in the country. Now, this therefore indicates that agriculture played a key role to the economic development of Nigerian people. Now, nonetheless, in the quest to focus the spotlight on fish farming in Nigeria, it is essential to know that fish farming is perceived to be one of the most important aspects of Nigeria's agricultural sector in the early 1980s. This is owing to the fact that historical findings reveal that the colonial administration began to pay closer attention to the country's local resources, which included fisheries during the World War II then. Now, according to the Nigerian fishery statistics of 2016, the total fish demand for Nigeria, which was based on the 2014 population estimates of 180 million people, was about 3.32 million metric tons. Further research reveals that the domestic fish production from aquaculture, artisanal and industrial fisheries in 2014 was about 1.123 million metric tons. Now, it is, however, important to note that in 2014, fisheries contributed 0.48% to the agricultural GDP of the nation, while the contribution of agriculture to the country's GDP in 2014 was 20.24%. Conversely, historical findings shows that in order to ensure development in the area of fish farming, the colonial government established a fishery-based organization in Lagos in 1941, which then conducted preliminary surveys and experiments in the ponds, lakes and lagoons of the area then. In 1945, the organizations became a section of the Department of Commerce and Industries. Now, by the 1950s, the organizations had grown to become the Federal Fisheries Service. And then in 1954, the operations of the branch were split between the federal and regional, that's the northern, western, and eastern regions of governments in the country. So we've come a long way when it comes to fisheries in Nigeria.
Unfortunately, according to research and findings, show that the current demand for fish in the country is about 4 times the current level of local production. What does this tell us? We import more than we produce.
Right.
And statistics also show us that humans consume approximately 80% of fishes as food, while the remaining 20% goes into the manufacturing of products such as fish oil, fertilizers, and animal food. Well, let's go on to our guest, and we'll start with Sharon. Sharon, why fish? Why did you do this story?
Well, it's from the observation of the need to have more fresh fish. I don't like the imported
So,
fish.
So this was
I
personal
prefer-
to you.
Not really, but I love the fish fresh.
Okay.
And I realized that women are the ones that actually sell fish to the public, and they don't look like they're earning a lot or making a lot of profits. So I decided to dig deeper, and of course, it was during the fellowship program organized by Wale Shoyinka that made me bring up the story idea and give me that push to actually follow it up. And from my observation, we have women contributing a lot, but they get little. From my findings, while interacting with some of those women, most of them work 7 days. They
Wow.
actually don't sleep because most of the time, if they have excess fish, it means that they have to preserve, and they don't have the facility to preserve those fish.
Right.
So it means that they have to actually smoke, and you can't smoke in few hours,
Right.
especially if it is during the raining season. So they have to be up as much as 3 a.m., 4 a.m., just to ensure that whatever fish the fishermen actually bring to the coastline where they actually have to be out of their homes to do this,
Right.
and actually ensure that they preserve through smoking.
So the women you spoke to, do we have any of them who actually go to bring in the fish, or they just sell and smoke? Are there fisher women that you spoke with?
Well, regularly you find them at the coastline. That's at the
shore.
at the shore of the river, waiting for the fishermen to come back with the fish. And from my findings, many of the fishermen won't just go into the water to go and bring the fish. At times, they collect money from these women to go and bring the fish.
Oh,
Because
so that's like advance
Pay
payment.
before service.
So you pay for me to bring you the product, yes.
Well, the truth remains that they're not getting a lot of money, and it means that if the women actually do the fishing themselves, maybe they will make more profit.
So why
Right.
aren't they doing it? Why aren't
So,
they fishing?
In Lagos, for example, we don't have women going into the water to go and fish for themselves. Not because they don't have the skill, but there's a little bit of discrimination in
Right.
terms of or at times not discrimination, maybe in terms of policy, but in terms of belief. Because from further research, I realized that if you go to Bayelsa State, for example, we have women going to the high seas to
Right.
fish, and that's because probably they have the confidence, and probably there's no fetish of you as a woman not being able to fish. But
Right.
because when I asked them at the riverbank, how come you can't go and fish yourself? They said, no, it's not possible. It's for men. It's for men. Women can fish.
You
Do you know what?
mentioned you mentioned profit the other time.
Okay.
What did they tell you about profit that they make from the business?
Well, we've
It looks like it takes a lot,
Yeah.
but do they make a lot of profit?
Well, from my observation, I visited Ekpe, I visited Badagry. Those are the two major places in Lagos that they do fish business from my findings. And I realized that there are some women that have spent 30 years, 40 years, that's 3 decades, 4 decades
Right.
in this fish business. And they complain about the dwindling income in doing this business. Many of them say that while they actually, before now, they don't even have new people coming into the business.
Right.
Because it's not encouraging, it's not attractive.
Right.
Many of them actually said that when they want to, before now, to construct a boat was about 170,000 naira, but right now it costs about 2.2 million naira for you to construct a boat.
Whoa.
So this means, yes, that's how expensive it is for you to actually own a boat, and all this actually contributes to how much they actually have to sell this fish
Right.
and how much profit they can make.
Indeed, indeed. Let's come to our other guests this morning. I will start with Mrs. Emopai. One of the challenges that we have in Nigeria right now is storage. Let's begin with that. We have water all around us. We can go as far as possible to go get this fish from. And like Sharon said, one of the major headaches of the women involved in this is how to preserve this fish. We don't have storage. You're from the Ministry of Agriculture, if I am not mistaken. You're the Director of Fisheries there. What are we doing in terms of storage, especially to aid businesses such as those of the women in fish business?
Yes. Sorry. Thank you. For For Lagos State, we have production of over 155,000 tons scattered in 5 divisions. We have the 5 divisions in Lagos State.
Right.
And we do fishing in these 5 divisions of the state. So what we encourage our women to do, not only in storage, but also on how to preserve their fish.
Right.
We've introduced, and we are still in the process, smoking cabinets.
Okay.
That instead of using the old drums
The drum.
and firewood, they can smoke in cabinets, in which case they don't even have access, they don't have contact with the smoke.
Right.
They just put their fish in the cabinet, close the cabinet, uses charcoal, and do other things. We've introduced that to them because they have empowerment programs that we do.
I was going to
every
ask
year.
you, when you say you've introduced it to them, I mean, how do you mean?
Yes, we
Can
have
they
empowerment.
afford this smoking cabinet?
We have empowerment programs that we do once a year, that we give the women groups the cabinets. We also-
These cabinets work with electricity,
Firewood.
Still-
Charcoal.
charcoal.
Yes,
Okay.
charcoal. Yes.
Instead of the firewood.
Instead of firewood. Then we also have other programs apart from the empowerment.
Right.
We have an arm of the ministry, the Lagos State Agric Development Agency. They have extension agents that go around the fishing villages,
Right.
sensitizing them on how to make use of these cabinets. We also have we are also in collaboration with Bank of Agriculture
Agriculture, okay.
on how to finance the cooperatives using single digit
Interest loan,
rates.
okay.
Yes,
All right.
yes. Then in some of the communities, we have also fishing not just in Epe and Badagry.
Well, those were the places
we also
you
have
visited.
in Ikorodu division.
Right.
We have in Lagos division. We've given them, we have this artisanal fisheries input delivery program that we did, and it's still on. We started about 3 years ago, over 5 years ago, where we there's a vehicle attached to each division. When they bring in the fish, this vehicle goes in, collect the fish from them. So government is like an off-taker. We collect the fish from them,
Right.
distribute it. We have farmers mats all around, distribute to the farmers mats. When they sell, once they collect the fish, the mat gives the fishermen back
Okay.
their money. But
However, there is a huge challenge in the fish sector. I mean, you read out a lot of programs that the Lagos State government, does. This sound really good. But look at the data. According to the Nigeria Fisheries Statistics Report of 2016, they estimate that Nigeria's annual fish demand is 3.32 million metric tons. Domestic production is just 1.12 million metric tons. So we have a deficit of 2.2 million metric tons. So we're not meeting up with this demand. It means we're highly importing fish. Why is it so?
yes, because
Are we unable to fish? Are we unable to get the fish that we need?
Yes, because we are supposed to consume a minimum of 70 kilogram of fish per person per annum.
Okay.
So as the population increases, the demand would increase.
And population is
And
increasing.
every day.
Right.
So demand is there for fish. But what we also found out is that, yes, we have 20% of our total area of Lagos State covered with waters and all that. But still, the return is not commensurate with the efforts.
Why is that so?
It's a global issue. Overfishing
Right.
is a global issue. And what we are now trying to do is to promote aquaculture, even amongst our women, that they should look inwards, use our inland waters, and do that. You can do it in cages, you can do it on land, you can do it in your backyard,
Right.
grow your own fish and eat. And for the women, we are also encouraging them that fine. We have women that are fisher women that go into the water to fish, especially those that are into shrimps,
Right.
traps. They set traps.
Right.
Yes. So we encourage them that okay, during the off-season period, that is when the weather is during the rainy season, weather is harsh. All you need to do is just put cages inside your water and grow your fish. And if you don't want to, if you want to do something entirely different from fish, we also have our extension agents teaching them on the use of zobo drink, how to make zobo drink, other income generating activities that they can use.
Why should a fisherwoman be selling zobo?
Not selling, making that income generating activity during the
season
period, off season, when they are not fishing.
Just to keep them
because
engaged.
not all year round you go
So
fishing.
rather than teaching them to make zobo and selling zobo, isn't the better option one of the things you mentioned, to be able to still grow fish off season? Isn't there a way to do this? Because if these women take a break off season and they are then selling zobo because the weather is harsh, what it means is we'll have a further drop in the production of fish.
Yeah, I said earlier that those that are not interested in using you can't force them to do what they don't want to do.
Right.
You can only encourage them. And if they say, this cage, I'm not interested. Instead of them just sleeping at home doing nothing, which they do most times, they can do other income generating activities.
Sharon, why are they not interested? I mean, if someone gives you an option of saying, so you can't get fish at this period, it's off season, take this alternative. Do you think they know these alternatives? If they do, why are they rejecting the options?
Well, I would just say that I think maybe enlightenment, education is probably key in this scenario. Once you have passion to do or practice a trade, you should want to optimize whatever
options are available.
So of course, the women needs to be actually trained and retrained.
Do you think they know about these options?
Well, another thing could be access. So it's just about enlightenment once again, ensuring that you relate with their group heads. Because, for example, from my observation also, many of them before now had strong active associations. But right now, because it's not really a profitable business anymore for these women, they can't associate like they should.
Everyone is just doing their businesses on their own.
You understand? So because, like, for example, with this program was supposed to have probably a fisherwoman or a woman who does fish business available. It's difficult because it means you have to go on that trip again to go and look for that particular person to come and speak. But if they are organized, it's easier for you to put a call through. They know who can probably communicate better, and of course the information or their story can be told better.
Mr. Aldo, quickly, let me come to you. So it's very expensive to have boats constructed or to own a boat, especially those fishermen living in the rural areas, the coastal areas, who do this for business full time. And one might think that a way to encourage or to reduce the price of fish and to encourage, fish production is to assist in providing this for them. Maybe, at a single-digit loan interest rate to these fishermen, so that we can have more boats going inside the waters and bring in fish, because there is a huge deficit when it comes to fish production. Despite all I get it that yes, it's a global phenomenon because of climate change, most importantly. But then, are we doing enough to ensure that we have enough fish? We maximize, the opportunities around us, particularly here in Lagos. Is there something that can be done to make sure that we provide something for the fishermen, boats, for instance, to get them inside the water to bring fish to the mainland?
Incidentally, we had a stakeholders engagement just a few days ago to develop a roadmap for the agricultural sector, and of course fisheries is a major value chain in this unit. Be that as it may, let me give you the statistic that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development says that fish importation is about $1 billion every year. So it's a huge amount of money going out of this country, which of course we can trap in if we step up our production.
That's
Exactly.
right.
But before then, we know that most of our inputs are imported, dollar denominated. So fishing efforts are dropping. That's why you have reduced fishing, fish landings. But as a government, one thing that came out, what we've been doing, like she said, is the empowerment program. And we empower fishermen with outboard engines and other fishing inputs virtually free to cooperative groups to engage them and step up our level of production. And that's what we have been doing over the years. But that can be taken further.
Has it helped? Has it caused any improvement in the number of, in the results of deliverables?
Yeah, it has. It has to some extent. But where we are going is that, if you look at our fishermen population, we also find out that they are actually reducing, they are aging, and the youths are not coming in. So as a government, one thing that came out and that we are going to pursue is the fact that the usual practice of going out with the canoe, either motorized or with paddle and throwing the cast net, may not be attractive to our youths.
That's right.
So of course we're looking at bringing a modern technology in terms of modern fishing boat and crafts that would be, this is a tech age that will be very attractive to our youth, so we can have more people, especially the youths, coming into the profession, taking it as a trade, as a profession, and as a business also, not just as a part-time, as a pastime, as a business that can engage in full-time and deliver returns. When they see the money coming in, of course, it will happen.
So this meeting happened days ago. So is there a timeline for achieving this? When are these boats coming in? When are these training for these young people happening?
In fact, coming in here, what my director look as a takeaway from that, we're working on doing a roadmap to see how do we get this done, who are the partners to bring in. Of course, private sector will be there, is there, the banks are willing to finance it, and of course, so that's we're drawing up the roadmap. Just a few days we came out with this agenda, so we're working on it, and I hope, I'm very sure that before the year ends, we'll see something.
Mr. Okpai, let's look at the youths that we're targeting. Are they the youths from those areas, or we're looking at a wider net of youths who might be interested in the fishing?
Both from the community, fishing communities, and also those that are interested in fishing.
It looks like a very dirty business. Youths of nowadays will most likely want to go to a business that has, lesser risks, for instance. That would just warrant them not to go out midnight and come back in the morning, because I figure that that's what most rural fishermen do. They go out the night before into the sea and they come back in the morning. And you're thinking, can the youths and the young ones do that? Are there better ways to go into this business without the young people sacrificing their sleep? Very important to them.
There are different ways in which you can create jobs. Can be direct, you can do it yourself. It can be indirect. You can engage people to do it. Just like Sharon said that at times they give the
fishermen
money. It's a joint business, and when the fish come, they have a sharing ratio.
Is there an arrangement with the private sector already existing?
Yes.
We have people. You've mentioned something fantastic. Some people do these green projects where you don't have to do it yourself. I can, as a way of investing, I want to put 50,000 every month, into this business. I have a returns of say 16%. People are open to these options. Are they available?
Yes. Like next week, we have someone wrote to us who is interested in this modern fishing technology, and want to have collaborate with the investor.
Right.
It's not coming in with canoes that we have.
Right. We don't need more canoes at this point. We don't need more canoes. Life is moving pretty fast. But let's go on a very quick break. We're talking about the fish sector in Nigeria today. Of course, you do eat fish. Do you know where that comes from? So we'll be talking about the other side of this. This is the importation and of course the ones that you have currently in your pot. We'll be talking about how healthy they might be for you or otherwise. This is the Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info. We have a full house today. We have Sharon Ijaso, a journalist with TVC, who's done a fantastic report on the lack of facilities slowing growth of fish business. We also have Mrs. Olatokunbo Birunke Omakpai, who is the Director of Fisheries, Ministry of Agriculture. Also, Mr. Manuel Audu is the Deputy Director of Fisheries from the Ministry of Agriculture. When we come back, we'll be reading your comments from social media. It's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, WhatsApp 08095975805. That will be after the break. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
I'm Sharif Quadry.
From your number one talk news and sports station. This is the Morning Crossfire with Wemimo and Sheriff.
Yes, we're back as the Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info, and today we're looking at the fish sector. A story done by Sharon Ijaso of TVC on the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism's program, which is called the Female Reporters Leadership Program. It's a fellowship of female journalists, and she has done this story, which she has titled "Lack of Facilities Slowing Growth of Fish Business in Nigeria." We've looked at the numbers, the amount of fish that we actually need in Nigeria. We're short of about 2.2 million metric tons, which means that we resort to importing and eating frozen fish. I know most of you listening do eat frozen fish. It's easier to access. I mean, the shops are everywhere,
Right.
and we think that it's cheaper. So is it cheaper? That's the conversation. Is it really healthier? Sharon says she absolutely doesn't eat frozen fish. Is it easier to
Seldom.
access?
Well, from my observation, to be honest, as a woman, it's easier to access the frozen fish.
The
But
shops
of
are
course-
everywhere.
But of course, if you love fresh fish, you take that effort.
You go look for it.
You make that effort to go look for fresh fish.
Let's talk
Right.
about the health implication, of buying this
Frozen fish.
Yeah, frozen fish. So in my mind, I believe it's in the refrigerator. So it means it's preserved.
Yes.
The fresh fish is in the open market. It means the flies are perching over it, and I'm looking the other way. So which is healthier really for consumption, and who is watching and monitoring the quality of the fresh fish in the market?
For quality of the fresh fish, we have, as I said, we have extension agents all around monitoring the landings. Once they bring the fish, they have extension agents that are over the states.
Are these
the
agents
freshness
very active?
also. Yes.
You're
Yes.
very sure that they're active.
Yes, yes. And most times, once the fish lands, within a twinkle of an eye, the women, they've taken the fish.
Because the
so it
demand is high.
doesn't stay.
Mm.
It doesn't stay.
So you're telling us those ones are absolutely
They're
fresh and healthy.
Yes. And very soon we are proposing wholesale fish markets. Yes. This is a public-private partnership, and we're looking for investors.
Has this been thrown open?
For to partner with the state government on that.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you thrown this open to ask for these investors? Like I said, many times we look at the big investors who are bringing the monies, but there's this, kind of crowdfunding that's currently happening in the agricultural sector. We have a lot of them come on Nigeria Info to sell, and people are putting their monies. It's like buying bonds, and stock. Little amount of money from Nigerians who would like to invest. It's a big potential. Are we looking at this, sourcing from the people, and they have interest rates? It's a win-win situation.
Definitely, we're going to source locally first for investors.
Right.
Because we know there are people that they have the money, they are looking for where
Yeah.
to invest
To put the
in.
money.
Yes.
That's right.
So work at
It's in the
work at
pipeline
that.
right now.
Yes.
Mr. Audu, let's talk more on the condition of fresh fish and frozen fish as well. A lot of there's been unconfirmed reports as to what it takes to bring in fish into the country. The preservatives that are being used on this fish. What can you tell us about this?
Well, I might not be able to speak to that because I know we have regulatory agencies, federal agencies
Right,
that handle
right.
such issues, monitor such issues. But from a layman point of view, I know for one that if you bring fish in and then you store in your freezers, in your fridge, in the shops all around with epileptic power supply, power coming in, coming off, frozen, thawing, all of these leads to some form of deterioration over time that if by the time you end up buying, you're not really getting the nutritive value that you get from such commodities, and that's why we should look at the point of getting fresh fish. So frozen fish, to me, in my own my point of view, from what I've seen and observed, is not that 100% as it were as nutritive as you will have if you had to go for the fresh fish.
I'm glad you mentioned. Okay, continue.
And if you look at the fact that we have fish farmers producing the catfish, my belief is if we have this shift towards patronizing what we produce locally,
Right.
The market expands. It will drive production all the way,
Right.
and we can have fish production.
More people
More
coming
produce
into
coming
the
to the business,
business.
and then we can have our production base can expand all the way because market all does drive for that
And
production.
for catfish, people farm catfish
Right.
in ponds.
Right.
You don't need to
Yes.
go to the high
Right.
sea
Yes.
to fetch
Let me
that.
tell you something. I gave catfish to a neighbor once, and the woman looked at me and said, "You are a big man," because it's perceived that catfish is an elitist food and not something you can really just pick up at 700 per kilo. Not too many people know that. I believe if they know that you can get that 700 per kilogram of fresh live fish, people will go for it.
What other types of fish could be grown, in ponds? We know catfish right now is business people are going into.
Right,
They're either
right.
selling it fresh or smoking it. You're either eating it with your gari or people are really buying. But are there other types of fishes? Mackerel, for instance, sells a lot. Croaker, I know people buy all of those. But are there those types of fish that people could go into, small ponds,
Right.
and grow and farm them?
Well, for the culture of fish, the first thing you look at is the availability of the seeds. That's the juvenile, the young fish that you will stock in your ponds to grow.
Fingerlings.
Fingerlings, yeah, what you call fingerlings. Now, technology that we have available, we can multiply the catfish, Claris grappinos, can multiply it very well, produce the fingerlings easily. And also for tilapia also is also available. But for the ones you are mentioning, the mackerel, these are, marine species of fish that we don't have the technology as it were.
What is
now.
this technology and why don't we have it?
Well, it's more what technology means. You have the means of getting things in, establishing the research and all of those things to multiply it. Determine the growth rate, what kind of food it requires, and all of those things. Those are what maybe that will be the future of aquaculture.
Why are we unable to do
I'm
that?
getting there because when we started doing the land-based aquaculture system, we moved on to water-based systems, doing in the lagoons. The future of the water-based and cage and pen culture system is to do the marine cage system. And that's the future for it. So when that is being done, research is actually going on it. We have actually had presentations on it that on the possibility of getting all of this done. But there are certain issues concerning going to the marine environment to grow fish that need things like security needs to be sorted out properly, to go into that environment and explore.
It looks like we're just projecting to a future that has no date for all these things. Well, I'm always excited about technology and inventions. And the world is moving, like you said. We need these fish were short. So, like you also said, there might be overfishing going on the open seas. So we should be thinking about, pond system, cage and pen and cage systems where people can do these local productions as conveniently as we can do catfish production, which is very easy for most people to go into now.
Right.
So if we could put a date to this, a timeline to achieve this, that would greatly help.
Of course, yes. But then we start from known to the unknown. We are doing catfish. Let's maximize the options.
I don't want to eat catfish. I want to eat
tilapia.
Tilapia.
Maximize
Tilapia.
it. Then you move on to the next fish.
So there's another aspect of fishery that is quite important that we talk about, and we've mentioned in passing though we talked about preservation, smoking, for instance, but we also mentioned in passing storage in refrigerators. Is there a possibility for the rural women, because that's what Sharon did a story about, the rural women, to have access to maybe central storage facility where they can put their commodity at a maybe subsidized rate and go there for the benefit of those who don't like anything smoked.
And so they
for
can
health
sleep some
reasons.
more. I mean,
And
if they
can
spend all
sleep
the
some
time
more.
fishing and then spend the rest of the time smoking,
Is there a policy in this direction?
or do we have any such central freezing system currently in Lagos?
Yeah, what we are proposing is a fisheries development unit now, where we did one at Yeke in Badagry
Okay.
and Ise. But we want to popularize it. What we want to do now is to have the artboard repair workshop where they can repair their artboard and nets, and then a freezer, solar panel powered freezer where they can store their fish, and also a smoking cabinet where they can smoke their fish. We'll do the pilot, but we are also open to PPP investors that can come in and take it off the state
Does
government.
this make me feel like there isn't enough funding for the Ministry of Agriculture?
It's not that. It's just that if we have to stimulate the public sector too.
Is there enough funding for the Ministry of Agriculture?
Yes, we have funding. We have funding.
Well, from my observation during the report, I realized that in Ekpe they have something similar to what the director just described, but I don't know, for one or two reasons it's not up and running. I wouldn't know.
Is it a solar panel?
Yes, I'm not sure if it's a solar. I think it's a generator. But I don't know. Something is off. But they have that preservation equipment, but something is delaying it from running smoothly. But too, also, I would like to reiterate the issue of loan facilities. If loan facilities are given to these women, I think they'll be able to do more, and probably, maybe they'll be able to maintain any preservation or preservative method that will be given to them as options to use.
Let me stay with you, Sharon. You brought us all here this morning. Thank you for doing that. Because you did this story. What were the challenges that you faced while doing this story?
Access to the water side. I had to go through a boat without any life jacket.
Were you scared?
Why? Why didn't you have a life jacket?
Because there's
They don't have life jacket anymore. Have you been to? Okay, you've been to Morocco, right?
Yes. Yeah,
So,
okay.
I'm not sure I want to take that risk again.
You should have a life jacket.
I'm not sure I want
please.
to take that risk again, but who knows?
Please have a
So,
life jacket.
Access was a problem, though it's just maybe between 7 to 10 minutes on water.
Okay.
Then when you get on land, getting to the water bank or the river to get the fish farmer the fishermen and women in fish business, I actually had to take a bike, and it was very sandy. So access to the place is a big issue. Then there's this thing of the locals also believing that you want to come and tell their story to exploit them. So they're a little bit hostile to strangers, in quotes, even though I had a guide that could speak their dialect and could communicate in their own language.
Right.
Of course, you have to spend some money.
Oh,
Oh, you have to.
yes.
You have to spend some money to do good stories.
Just to show them that you're here
Of
for
course,
good
because
intentions.
when I got to the riverbank, I remember very clearly that some of the guys said, "No, we should switch up the camera. You're not going to record," and it was really a crazy sight. But of course, money answers all things most.
There you have it, Nigeria. We looked at this story by Sharon, which is titled "Lack of Facilities Hindering the Growth, Slowing Growth of Fish Business." And Nigeria is a maritime country where 9 of 36 states, including Ogun, Lagos, Ondo, Edo, Delta, Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Cross River states have a coastline in the Atlantic Ocean. More than 80% of Nigeria's domestic fish production is generated by artisanal, small-scale fishes from coastal, inshore creeks of the Niger Delta, lagoons, inland rivers, and lakes. The estimate that we've shared with you shows that we have a deficit of about 2.2 million metric tons of fish demand in Nigeria, and we've had a good conversation here. We're going straight to the phone lines right now. You can join us also on Facebook, where we're streaming live, on YouTube also. If you want to reach us on Twitter, use the hashtag Morning Crossfire and tweet at Nigeria Info FM. We'll be taking your calls just in a moment. We'll give you the phone number so you can join us, and remember to also use WhatsApp 08095975805. Here are the phone numbers. Do join us now.
Call us on 0127709993, 0127719993, 0127729993, and 0127739993. This is Nigeria Info. We are listening.
Yes, we are listening. Let's start with WhatsApp, where we have a message from Ayodeji from Amuwo, who says, as it is with most things in Nigeria, the cost of production in Nigeria is always higher than anywhere else. That's why the frozen fish is cheaper. Have we agreed that frozen fish... our guests seem to believe that it's not cheaper.
It's not cheap at all.
He says he works for a fish company, and the quality of fish coming in daily couldn't have been gotten with nets. Also, the packaging and preservation of these fishes is very important, and cold rooms are very expensive to set up. We have this one, no name. Please put your name to your messages, but it has a great point. It says there are large fishing trawlers at our Gulf of Guinness off to Sao Tome. It says there are large Chinese trawlers. Even Camerooners come to our shores. We can sail to the whole of Africa if we can harness international waters too.
Let's speak with Chooks. Chooks is calling us from Aja. Chooks, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Very well. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, first I want to commend your station. Today we are not listening to all these political problems, but this is what
We took a break off those.
is good. Is good. I want to commend Sharon. She has. In fact, that's the kind of journalism which we need now.
Right.
Journalism for the stomach. And your station, yes.
Oh dear.
So, what? In fact, next time when she's going, please wear your jacket.
Right.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
I've tried to invest on farming. It's a very tedious business.
Right.
When you are talking of even loans. First, let's discourage ourselves from that. Look at how many people, when they take this loan, how many people pay back. The federal government is on their trail now, even right from the state government. They say all the state governments in the country should pay back
All right.
the loans. We don't have that culture.
All right,
Right.
Chooks.
Thank
Once we
you.
collect the money, we don't pay back.
All right, Chooks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ada is here. Ada, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning to everybody in the house.
Morning, Ada. Good to have you here.
Thank you. And thank you so much for the expose. Thank you for all the contributions made by your guests in the house.
Thank you.
I'm particularly interested in the investment area. You talked about crowdfunding. I think it's an area where we should look into.
Sure.
Like you rightly said, Wemimo, I'm
That's
sorry
right.
for that.
That's okay.
A lot of people have small funds to put into different kinds of businesses, and they'll be very glad, to invest in businesses such as that of fish,
Right.
where they can make some extra income, okay? So I think it's something we should look at, how we can encourage small groups. So, for example, I have a group of friends where we make contributions on a monthly basis, and by the end of the year, we should be making, a total, or having the total principal amount of about 3.6 million, for example,
Right.
and we're looking to invest such amount of money into, any viable business. So I
Right.
think this would be an opportunity. I think it's something we should look into a bit more.
Right.
So I'd ask you, Ada, to please leave us a message on WhatsApp right now. Everyone here is excited to hear this. I told you guys, you see. Please leave us a message on WhatsApp so I could connect you with Mrs. Ibiroke, if that's fine with you.
Fantastic. We'll do that. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you for calling. Let's head over to Facebook. Laja Olowo Wow,
Yeah.
what a name. Says, you like food, eh? Says, fish business is experiencing the lackadaisical attitudes of our government ministry. There's hardly any plan from the ministry. Says, I stand to be corrected. Okay, says should have had fish farmers here. Sharon told you some of the challenges. Olaku Oluwale says, is it possible to get a copy of this report? Yes, it's online. You can check on the Wole Soyinka Center's website and just look for this story. It's titled Lack of Facilities Slowing Growth of Fish Business. It's a video, so you find it also on YouTube.
Right.
Laja, okay.
Let's quickly take this from Randy. He's been on the line for a while. Randy from Surulere. Good morning to you. Hello, Randy. Good morning.
Hello, morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, your analyst actually talked very well, but they said the Ministry of Agriculture have funds available for those that want to go into agriculture. But there was a time I applied in 2009, and up to date, they are yet to respond to me.
Wow.
And I decided to do my fish farm along the close to a lake, of which at the end of the day they came, they investigated, they saw what I did personally. But they ended up not responding until they got to the rainy season where flood had to take all over my farm, my fish. So I find it difficult to cope since then. So I don't know if there is any other means I can get to them.
Right, which is why I emphasize on that question. Are we sure the ministry has funding? If there is funding, how can people access this funding? Right now, they would like to know.
Yes, we have the Employment Trust Fund that gives loan to farmers at single-digit figure. We also have collaboration with CBN, Anchor Borrowers Program.
Right.
We have with BUA2, Bank of Agriculture, if you're interested for serious-minded.
How can they reach the ministry to ask for more details?
They can come to the Ministry of Agriculture, Block 23, Room 12.
All right, please head over there, and would like to hear your feedback. So when you've reached out to them, let us know how it goes, okay?
Right.
Let's speak with Eze. He's joining us from Ijebu-Ode.
Eze, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, you see, in my village we do farming, fish farming. But because of how the government do not care for anybody, all of us have left that's our good river we have in our village. And the fishes are there. Just because we are not being taken care of. When you take it to the market even, they will not buy it very well. They will just price it anyhow because they know you must sell it. They cannot eat all of them. So because of the annoyance, we left it. And the thing is still there till today. And the government will just be telling you, come, we will do this, we will do that to you. But when you go to the bank where they say, come and borrow money, they will you see a selective people, they select some people and borrow them the money. And those people are the rich people that know that they are not going to, they don't know how to even fish. That's the problem.
Right,
then the one who is really fisherman, they will not even have access to go to that bank there because they didn't know anything about it. How do we go to the villages where they are doing those farming? Go to River State, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
How do we meet them?
Right. Thank you so very much. So many people are showing interest in this. On WhatsApp also, Benedict Okuko says he's a cooperative member and coordinator. He says he's very much interested in the fish farm business and he needs to connect with you. So I'd ask you all to please go to the office, right?
Yes, please.
To meet you. Is there a phone number they can call?
They call my number.
Okay. Yes, if you wish.
0802 305 0072.
Okay.
Let's take that number again.
080 2305 0072.
Okay, she'll call that number one more time before we go. You can call and ask for more details for everyone who is interested in doing this.
Can I quickly say something?
Okay.
Yes, please.
I think there's a need for advocacy in terms of how to access loans. And I'm also of the view that it's very important for them to associate and have a strong group.
Some kind of cooperative.
Because if you associate and you're in a group, if any bank wants to give you loan, they know who to hold responsible.
It's easier.
Right. It's easier for you to give a rich man a loan, probably because he has an address you can follow up.
Right.
But if you can fish and you can do business, but you are not accountable or they don't know how to reach out to you, there might be a problem.
And many people don't understand the rules of requesting for these loans. So you need to understand that you're able to meet up with the requirement.
Right.
All right. Let's speak with Mr. Obed. He's reaching us from Ogun State. Good morning.
Obed, good morning.
Hello,
Obed. Obed is not here. Obed is not here. Please try and call us back if you can. And let's not forget that the first line, that is 012770993, is for female callers only, exclusively for female callers only. We would like to hear, from our female callers. Mr. Audu, let me come to you very quickly. We're coasting home right now, and we know that on land, if you're doing transport business on land, there are rules, there are traffic rules and regulation. Do we have such for fishermen as to, the rules, the laws, the regulation regarding fishing?
Yes, there are. And one of them is the practice of obnoxious and fishing practices methods using undersized meshes. And this we have, spoken to our fishermen over and over, and then enlighten them, build their capacities, and then train them on the kind of fishing net and the size of fishing net that they should use for various types of fishing practices. And the situation you're going to use very small size meshes to engage in fishing means you actually scooping up both the adult and the young fish that should grow on to adult later in the future. So these are all things we are doing in advocacy and capacity building.
I hope the next time we bring you here, we're talking about big time fishing and no longer nets.
By God's will, because that's the future. That's the future of fisheries.
I'm saying the next time you'll be here, which is going to be very soon.
It should be a success story.
Yes, right. So Sharon can also do a follow up on that story. I'd like to hear that these women now are they have associations, they're doing big time fishing, they have cold rooms where they can preserve their feed. That will be very gladdening to me. But we must go now. Thank you all. The phone lines are buzzing. Please, let's have that number one more time. You can reach Mrs. Ibironke if you want to invest. It's going to be a good opportunity.
0802 305 0072.
Okay, so that's the number. Call her. It's her number. She's giving you her number so you can reach her and ask for more details. Sharon Ijason brought us all together. She's a journalist with the TVC. Thank you so much for that fantastic report.
Thanks for having me. Good
Thank
job.
you. And we also have had Mrs. Olatokunbo Ibirunke Emokpai, who is a Director of Fisheries, Ministry of Agriculture. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Emmanuel Audu is a Deputy Director of Fisheries, also from the Ministry of Agriculture. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
We're bringing you back very soon. All right, Nigeria, we must go now, and it's Friday. Yay! So that means we'll be seeing you again on Monday morning. Big thanks to Zainab Yakin, Tosin Akinride, and Yvonne Ohafo for assisting on the show. I'm on social media. Let's keep talking at Wemimo Sport, and I'll gladly see you on Monday morning.
I'm Sheriff Quadry. You can follow me on social media as well at Sheriff Quadry.
Have
And,
a fantastic...
I'll follow back.
Have a fantastic weekend, people. We'll see you again soon.
Bye for now.